Yeah, it's recording finally. Thank you. I'm also trying to see if what is the best view. That could work. No, this is definitely not going to work. No. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
I'm just trying to go full screen. Just give me a second.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, perfect. Yes. Thank you again, Mendies, for agreeing for this discussion. As you know, I'm Manoj Pandey. I am an advisor with the Access to Insurance Initiative team and a part of the Inclusive Insurance Innovation Lab. As you know, that the Innovation Lab is a year-long program where in this second cohort, 4 country teams have been working towards in a social lab to develop and implement innovations that advance inclusive insurance in their country. Each country team is composed of representatives from 8 institutions that represent the insurance space. Based on design thinking and social lab methods, our teams are accompanied by experienced facilitators in analyzing the current state of inclusive insurance in their country and define what is needed before working on solutions and prototypes that improve the lives of vulnerable people in their country. As we are currently approaching the end of the second inclusive insurance innovation lab, teams are implementing their prototypes and working on how to carry on the work after the program ends. This is a time to reflect on the past years, and I'm happy to do this together with Ms. Mendies. And thanks, Mendies, for taking the time to discuss your lab experience with me. If you could just quickly introduce yourself in terms of what you do and the roles that you have in your current organization.
Okay. Firstly, my name is Mendies Mhiribidi. I work with Liaison Rwanda Limited, an insurance brokerage firm. I've been working in the insurance sector for the past 20 years. And now we are looking at ways to not only focus on the corporate, but to focus on the vulnerable society so that they're also included in the insurance services we offer. So that's basically a snippet of who I am and what I do.
Thank you. So starting and talking a bit about the description of the lab and your work with in the lab, how would you describe the lab to your colleagues? Somebody who hasn't heard of the lab before, how would you go about describing the lab to them?
Well, what I would basically say is that the lab has been a process that has brought various stakeholders from the insurance sector together to look at the problems that the Rwanda insurance industry is facing and together work towards finding solutions to mitigate some of those problems. So basically, we are coming from different facets with different ideas, with different assumptions. We're looking at insurance with different mindsets. And then we're bringing all these people with various assumptions into one room and getting ideas of what everyone thinks and what everyone thinks is the way that the industry should move forward in order to increase the insurance penetration, in order to serve the vulnerable societies. We want everyone to be insured. We're not focusing now on the corporates. And then we have gone deep into looking at what are the problems, what are the solutions, and hearing and listening to each other. I think the lab, though we come with different ideas, at the end of it, we are all coming for one purpose, and that is to grow the industry and to make sure also the public understands what insurance is and the importance of the insurance and how we move forward with people and how we motivate them to take up insurance. So that to me is what the insurance lab is, and that's how I would describe it to my colleagues.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So well put. So taking this discussion forward, could you give a brief overview in terms of what the lab team in Rwanda has been trying to do?
Well, in Rwanda, when we first came onto the ground, we had brokers. I being a broker, I felt that the brokers in the market were being sidelined. Whenever there were new regulations coming up, the brokers are never really engaged. If it's issues of minimum rates, if it's issues on policies, brokers are sidelined. Then we had the consumer protection that is coming and saying, you people are not being fair. You're not paying claims on time, your policies are complicated, what have you. The insurers are coming and saying, we are giving you policies that meet needs. And we are saying, no, your policies do not meet needs. Your policies are expensive. You are not paying claims. You're not even telling people about insurance. And the regulator is coming in and saying, my laws are flexible. They allow you to work. They allow investors to come in, and they are protecting the public. So we came in from with various assumptions, and we are saying there are not enough areas where the vulnerable can access insurance. People are not able to access insurance. So we found a lot of problems coming out. Why are people? And then, of course, the question was asked, why do we have a low insurance penetration? Why are the most vulnerable, the people that actually need insurance, not having access to insurance? So we looked at regulations. We looked at accessibility to the insurance. Are we digitalized? Can someone in the village be able to access insurance? Can someone where there is no insurance office be able to access insurance from point A to point Z? Do the people know what insurance is? And then out of everything that was coming out, we then said, no, this is just a group. We need to go out and talk to the public, because here we are just making assumptions, but we want to hear from the insurers themselves. That's the demand side. That will be your insurers, the regulator, the brokers, the agents, but we also need to hear from the public. And from the public, we want to hear particularly from the low income earners, or what we deem the vulnerable. So we conducted interviews. We talked to the demand side, we talked to the public, and a common theme kept emerging, and that was, we don't know much about insurance. In Rwanda, yes, we know what insurance is, but we know the policies that are being offered by the government. We know about Mutual, we know about Rama, we know about Ejoheza, but when it comes to what the private insurers are providing, we have no idea. I can tell you that I'm insured, but I actually don't know what I'm insured for. So what the common theme was, there is lack of awareness, lack of education. And so as Rwanda team, we took that to be the problem that we needed. The priority was to go out and educate and raise awareness about insurance to the public.
And how have you been looking to do that? The awareness.
So what we decided through the lab process, we decided to work on a prototype, and the prototype about raising awareness in the current situation that we are in, COVID. There's not a lot of movement that we can do, but we needed a medium, or we needed mediums that would be able to spread the word and reach as many people as possible. So our prototype was raising awareness through various modes, that is the radio, community radios, and through social media. So initially we had our first prototype where we had, and it was awareness through competitions as well. So we wanted people to get excited, because you want to draw in the numbers. Because if people hear insurance, sometimes they might not be that interested. So we wanted to draw out some excitement and to have more numbers. So we said, if we do it as a way of competition, we offer prizes, and not just cash prizes, because that won't have a meaningful impact. We wanted to have prizes that are both a prize in terms of insurance and a prize in terms of cash. So the prizes are combined, an insurance prize and the cash prize. So we started our first prototype with Radio Huye, a community radio which is based in Huye, where as a lab we developed like a write-up just on general questions. What is insurance? The benefits of insurance? Who is eligible for insurance? The structure of the insurance sector. How do I access my claims? Who is the regulator and the role of the regulator, and probably the types of insurance. So the shows would be divided into two: the education part, just talking about what insurance is, and the second part would be asking questions to the public on what do you think insurance is, what do you think are the benefits of insurance. And the way we did the first community radio was we advertised the show through the platform of Radio Huye, who advertised the show. We did this through their platform, Facebook page, their Twitter page, and we could see the interaction there and what people wanted. So from the first show, there was a lot of excitement from people that you need to have these regularly, and we need to learn more. We thought it was a success. We had a way of measuring it in terms of Facebook, how many people saw the advert, how many people showed interest, how many asked questions, how many just commented, and then how many people as well called into the show. And then from that show, we, of course, you then learn what did we do right? What can we do better? Now, Radio Huye obviously does not have, it will not spread to the whole of Rwanda. So we said our second prototype, we wanted to scale up. So we engaged more community radios. So the show was then came out to the entire Rwanda through the community radios. And once again, we felt that it was a success. But when we did the prototypes, we also said we also wanted to learn from the people. What products are they looking for, and what the industry can do to serve the public. So we said we need to also be hearing from the people. We need to be providing customer-centric rather than product-centric products that we currently have. So we want to develop products coming from the public and coming from the public's needs. So we said, how can we then also do this? And then going into our next prototype, we're still in competitions, but we are now saying we're going towards the universities. So we're going to start with one university where the students are going to do essays, a sort of research on what has gone wrong. We can have two questions. What has gone wrong and what do we do for the insurance sector? How do we raise awareness in the most effective way to have the largest reach? And the second part is which products are people looking at and which products will actually meet a need in Rwanda. So it's something that we're excited about and something that we wish we will scale up, and even when this actual lab process ends, that we're able to continue and build momentum and take it to greater heights.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for this very comprehensive description of all the great work that has been done over the last year and so. And it has been indeed inspiring to see all the progress made by the Rwanda team. So congratulations on that. And following up on that, just you know, as an industry leader and also a person in the lab, and how was your experience to be part of the lab at your level, at a personal level? How has your experience been being associated with the lab process?
Well, firstly, I would really say this has been a huge eye-opener. Some of the assumptions that you bring along are not necessarily correct. You might think that you're doing something right, and yet there's always room for improvement. And you might think you were listening, and yet you were not listening to each other. We were more or less fighting each other. So the lab has opened up a lot for us. We are able to dialogue better amongst the stakeholders. We now understand where each stakeholder is coming from. And I think to an extent, the lab has managed to somehow build on our leadership skills. We are able to communicate better. We are able now to at least listen to each other and not just say what I'm saying. I think this is the correct process. So it was not only to say this is the product that we're coming out with, but it has built our social skills. It has enhanced our leadership capabilities and allowed us to just take a sit and actually listen, and then from there find a way forward and working together. And what has come out is that we always need to collaborate to transform a sector. So that is something that has really come out strongly from the lab, that collaboration is the key to success. We cannot work in isolation and think that we'll succeed. And then something that has come out as well is the issue of digitalization. Who knew that Mendies could use Mural and will be so comfortable with technology? You know, you'll be very hesitant, first of all, but of course this has come out strongly that you cannot move on without technology. And if we keep in the same space that we are in, then we'll be overtaken by events. So that is something that has come out strongly, and we appreciate the lab for being able to open our eyes to all these possibilities and ways to move forward.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate you sharing those insights with us. In fact, building on this and something that you mentioned about use of technology, the lab initially, because we were starting just before when the pandemic unfortunately hit us all globally. And the idea was that, we would have a mix of in-person discussions, workshops, and also some offline virtual and online virtual discussions. Unfortunately, and we all have been suffering to various measures due to the COVID pandemic right now. But given that scenario, the lab had to change course and move into a only virtual medium, given the restrictions and the obvious challenges we had in terms of traveling and also respecting each other's health concerns and conditions. So, could you share your perspective on how this being a totally virtual exercise, how easy or difficult it has been, and what your experience has been? Because I know COVID hasn't been easy on any of us, and we have had to be very flexible in terms of adapting to virtual way of doing things. What was your experience like with regards to the lab?
Well, frankly, firstly, entering into the lab, I was very skeptical whether we would be where we are today. I thought that this would not last as long as it has lasted. I thought because we were not meeting face to face, it was bound to fail. That was the initial thought, that how do I trust someone that I have not met face to face? Because we have always been taught that to build trust, you need to be seen to be with that person. We are told that for a client to trust you, you need to visit, you need to build personal relationships, and personal relationships can only be built through physical meetings. But the lab has proved that anything is possible. And even online, we were able to move the process forward. Who knew there were so many ways to meet and actually interact on a one-to-one basis? And when we initially started the process, what Rachel did to us was to pair us up sometimes and say, just talk to this individual, a WhatsApp call, or is it a team meeting or Google Meet? Just talk to someone, just find out who he is and what his motivations are and why he wants to be here. And through that, we began to build relationships. No physical meetings, whatever, but we did build the meetings. Of course, some of the things when it came to interviews, like meeting the public. Of course, we would have wanted to have things like focus groups when we wanted to get to the crux of things. We wanted to travel to the villages, to some farming communities to hear exactly their point of view. We couldn't do that, so that was limited. So we could only talk to them either via WhatsApp or via the teams. And you know that for some of the most vulnerable, they do not have access to some of these mediums because of cost, or they do not have access to internet. So we did not scale it up to the level that we would have wanted to. And we had to, in some instances, the people that we're interviewing, we had to buy internet for them to be able to talk to them, so that, of course, we would not encroach in their space, taking into consideration the health concerns and sticking to SOPs. But we are happy that we were able to do the things that we said we were going to do. Some, it was through the social media. Of course, WhatsApp has been the major thing of communicating, especially with the public. But we're happy to say it has not been 100% smooth. I'm sure there are times when we had one of the international workshops and Rwanda was down. No one had internet for that time for more than an hour, and then we only came up after the hour. So we learned that we should have two sources of internet. So I always have two sources to make sure that our meetings go smoothly. But we're happy to be where we are, despite the challenges that we went through. And of course, like you said, technology has saved us, and the process has continued to where it is now.
Now, we also sincerely appreciate and really commend all the efforts that have been put in, because as you mentioned, doing something virtually on a long-term basis like this is challenging. So we have a lot of respect and a lot of admiration for all the efforts put in. And in spite of being a primarily virtual process, all the achievements that the lab team has been able to show and get onto has been really, really wonderful. Uh, uh, so, as we move towards the end of this discussion, a couple of quick questions on. So, the lab has been also a lot about in terms of developing networks within the industry, as well as all the people who have come together as stakeholders to come and achieve, and all the work that you just described so eloquently, and those have been impactful as well. So, what has your experience been in terms of being able to work on networks and developing relationships, taking these discussions forward through the lab process, and people you have been able to get in touch with?
Well, definitely, I had, before the lab process, I had not really interacted except with regards providing the insurance services. I had not really interacted with the MNOs. We had not interacted with well, I had interacted with access to finance, but it's something that the relationship has now been, I mean, access to finance actually told me that in everything that we were doing, we would never really invite the brokers. But since we have been in this process, we have seen the value that the brokers come in, and going forward, we will be including the brokers in the process. Even the regulator had to apologize that indeed in certain things we were sidelining you, but we have seen that going forward we involve you in everything, whether it's the issue of minimum rates, though you are not the one that carries the risk. We know you have first-hand information from the public, and you also come in as experts in the field of insurance, so we will be engaging you more. And we have the people from Ministry of Finance now getting an overall picture of the entire industry. So we have been able to see the importance and been able to create new relationships with people that we had never interacted with. We have the consumer organizations that are there, and we are working on how do we protect the clients better and how do we work together to promote that. So it has been very ideal in terms of creating wider networks and working with those networks to better the industry, because who knew that mindsets would change the way they have changed in just this space? We are now appreciating the value of each of those and creating wider networks that we enable our work to be smoother, and we bring the industry forward through those networks.
That is so wonderful to hear, because one of the
Yeah.
objectives that we have at the lab is also to create such networks. And if this lab has been an opportunity where brokers like yourself has shown your worth in terms of you can be a key component of being able to offer insurance to people who are currently underserved or unserved, that is another wonderful outcome.
Yeah, and from my organization, through this network, I've managed to get business. So
Brilliant.
happy.
No, so in culmination, and thank you so much for your time so far and some wonderful insights. We are soon going to start with our next lab, the third lab. And if you had a message to give to new people who might come into the lab and within their own countries come together as a group and start and work towards something innovative, something new in their markets and their country, what would your message be to the future lab participants?
Well, my message would be to the future lab. One, be open-minded. Collaboration is the way forward in everything that we are doing, be it not necessarily insurance only. For countries to move forward, there needs to be a sense of unity, and unity comes through collaboration. So within our little spaces, though I'm a broker, I cannot survive alone, and as brokers, we cannot move the industry forward alone. So collaboration is essential to transforming our industry. So to those coming in, come in with an open mind, come in with a need to listen and actually take in what everyone is saying, and take criticism as constructive criticism, that is only there to build you. And then let's not just stop after the innovation lab. Let's make sure the process continues, because if we just end here, then all the fruits that you put in for the past months will die. So it's something that we hope to take forward, and something that will go on for years, and something that will continue to build upon. So let's take this process as something that will last for years, that will keep building our industry and making it stronger. So that is my message to the new lab team coming in.
Thank you so much. And I think Rwanda team is a perfect example of not only just working through the lab, but already looking ahead and continuing that work going. Thank you so much, Ms. Mendes. And, we sincerely appreciate the time that you took from your busy schedule to talk to us. And we still have some more discussions to go, so I'm sure we will be speaking again soon. Till then,
Okay.
thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manoj. Have a good day.
Bye.